Hello everyone and welcome to a spooktacular episode of the podcast. Today we're going to be covering our 3 favourite horror movies and 3 favourite horror games. So wrap up warm and tight and get ready for a fright as we discuss our favourite horror franchises. Right, well let's get back into it. Thank you again for joining me today, Tiggy, as prepared as you always are.
I turned up. No, actually I put a cool outfit on as well.
You did. She did get the memo scary, but instead it seems like, what have you done today, Tiggy?
I was a little bit lost in translation. I am a fairy, but in my defense, it rhymes with scary.
It does. You know what? You are correct. It is in the theme still. I will admit to it. I mean, to be honest with you, who has the better wings, though, out of us two today? I want to
see yours.
Have you not seen my wings?
I've not seen them,
I've got some.
Where are they?
I've got flapping wings. If you look in the stream right now.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
You're like the evil version of me.
I know, exactly.
Amazing.
2 Earths,
I love it.
1 family.
Now your duck just needs some wings.
I know, he does. I'm not going to get... He's not evil, though. He's pure. He is the angel to
just
my...
for today.
He is my angle, and I am his devil.
Cute.
Lovely. Right, well, we're doing a smaller episode today, and a bit of a Halloween-themed one. I have come today with 3 horror movies, which I think is the ideal. Like, if you're getting to the Halloween season and you just think, you know what, I need something to hit, either a slasher that's kind of for everyone, a proper horror classic, and something that even, like, I don't know, even like you could have a family viewing of it. I've got all 3 covered for you, and these are 3 of my favourite horror movies because they all are unique in their own way and they all cover different kind of horror, I'd say, but they are just all wonderful additions. And Tiggy, what have you brought with us?
I have to admit I don't watch scary films as much as I would like to. I do like scary films, but my partner isn't a big fan of them, so we don't watch them that often. So I have come with the scary games instead.
Good choice. So we got all of horror media covered today.
Yes.
So I was going to say, so if you want, we'll just get straight into it today because we said it's a bit of a shorter episode. It's a bit of a fun one. So if you want, I can just go into it straight away. And I'm going to start with, do I start with the best horror film that I think, or do I start with the one, or do I end that at the end? You know what? I'm starting off hot. I'm going to say right now, the best horror film that has ever been made is John Carpenter's 1982 film, The Thing.
That's so old.
It's so old, and it's still so good.
I barely remember
film, it. So basically, this film stars the lovely, what's he called? Not Keith Sutherland. It does have quite a few big name celebrities in it. And I should say as well today, we are joined by our host in the background as well, who will be adding any interesting tidbits throughout, and that is Mars. If Mars just want to say a quick hello. I forgot to record my audio, and I'm stuck in a closet.
You're in the closet.
They always are. Everyone's always in the closet.
Not that you are somehow.
But they will be helping us with any other stuff that goes on, and they'll mostly just be keeping us on track because we realised, especially after the first episode, we definitely need someone here to bring us back onto track. But The Thing, directed by John Carpenter, is basically... It is based off a novel as well. It's based off the Who Goes There novel, which is from 1938 by John Campbell Jr. And this originally was actually made into a 50s movie, which had the first ever fire stunt ever performed on film, which is really, really cool. They set a guy on fire for the longest time, and he runs out the back of a building. It's very sick. And basically, this film was remade in the 80s by John Carpenter, who is better known as the director of Halloween. And not a director, he is the guy who does the you know, the music for Halloween.
What, like, that sounded like the Myers sound?
Yeah, Michael Myers, yeah. That's
Myers,
that's John Carpenter.
Oh.
Yeah. Halloween.
I only know that because of Dead by Daylight.
But yes, he actually helped create the original movie with his wife at the time. Is it his wife? I'm pretty sure it's his wife. And he also did the music for it. Which unfortunately he doesn't do the music for this one, but the music in this one again is sick. It starts off with this noise like dun 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 dun, and it's really like just gets you into this like psychological. Because basically, again, I'm going off track, but this movie is a psychological body horror alien fantasy movie that is just perfect in terms of the effects are amazing, the character actors are phenomenal, and like the story is just so good. You are constantly on edge, and the scares are fantastic still. Like, obviously I've seen this now, I think probably more than 10 times. That's how much I love this movie.
That's obsessive.
But it still gets me in certain modes. It's very obsessive.
More than Candyman.
More than Candyman. Shock horror for any big fans in the audience, like your lovely partner. We won't be talking about Candyman today. It's not up there, unfortunately.
One second. Raph's opened the door. Thank you, Raph.
It's okay.
Sorry. Blame Raph for interrupting. It's okay. Carry on.
He did. He heard Candyman, and he was like, you know what?
He was like,
I need to get on this.
Candyman. Me and Raph both really hate Candyman, and apparently Trem loves it.
I appreciate it. It's kind of gotten a bit worse because the new one starred.
So bad.
I'm pretty sure the new one starred. What's he called? From Ant-Man.
I don't know.
Quantumania.
I just know it was a bad film, mate.
No, John. Was he in there?
This meme has gone on so long that Trem actually bought us the DVD of Candyman. What was it for?
I did.
Someone's birthday? Just to troll, because he knows we don't like the film.
No.
Do you like my mug?
I do appreciate the mug. But yes, Candyman will not be on the list today. But basically, the thing starts off with, I'll give a brief rundown, but I don't want to talk about it too much because I want people, if you are listening today, I want you to go watch it. So basically, we start off with, again, the music of the dun-dun. And there's a helicopter chasing a dog in the middle of the Antarctic. That is the first thing we see. It's just a dog being chased by a helicopter, and the helicopter is shooting at this dog. And it's like, what the hell is going on? Basically, this dog gets to a facility that's also there in the middle of the. It's like, I'm pretty sure it's in the Antarctic, and the dog just goes up to them, and these Norwegian guys get out the helicopter, and they're screaming in Norwegian, like basically just like, if you actually translate it, it does. Like basically say what the rest of the film is, which is really cool. No. They basically are just saying like, get away from the dog. But they're shooting at the dog, and then they end up shooting some of the people at the facility, and eventually the facility members kill both. Well, one of them drops dynamite on themselves and blow themselves up. So we get an explosion like 2 minutes in, which is fantastic. And then the other guy gets shot down by the facility members, meaning both the Norwegians are dead, but the dog is now fine. And this dog is not like other dogs, and instead it turns into, I can kind of say, I don't know how much I should explain at this point, because it is just like, from there, if you've not got the intrigue from now, like that is all you need to say. Like,
I'm a little bit
turns
intrigued.
Up this facility. That's what I mean. So I will say like a spoiler warning. I'll put a spoiler warning on screen just for a little longer. This dog. Because I'll put a time code as well, so you can skip ahead to if you want to avoid complete spoilers, and then I'll say again when we're back. But this dog is a creature that has been buried in the ice that can imitate any living creature that it gets its hold of. But the way it imitates you is not a nice way. It will like destroy, and like it will break you down, and it will meld with you, and it will like just like absolutely destroy you to become a part of it. And the thing is though, the thing can literally keep all of its DNA from what other creatures it's possessed. So this creature has alien DNA in it. It has all of these monstrosities. So when this thing transforms, it is awful. It is a Lovecraftian nightmare of pure intrigue. And when it absorbs humans, it gets their memories, and it can pretend to be anyone. And that is where the crux of this film comes from, is this thing obviously can separate, and it can turn into anyone on this base, and now they can't trust anyone in this Antarctic base with no communication, no way of getting home, and they have to, it's basically, if you've played Among Us, guess what? That's where kind of the Among Us thing comes from, is the imposter. There is an imposter among us, and so spoiler ending now. I'm not going to talk any more about the film. If you do want to watch it, go watch it. But this film was phenomenal for its time, and unfortunately, it actually bombed at the box office when it first came out. A bit like other great classics like Scott Pilgrim and the rest of it, this film was not well received at all because it actually came out 2 weeks after E.T. came out, when everyone was like, oh, aliens are great, they're so friendly, they're so lovable and all this kind of stuff. But no one was ready for a killer alien that can do that kind of thing. So it was unfortunately absolutely it bombed at the box office, and it basically meant that John Carpenter didn't work in Hollywood as much, which is a shame because he's an absolute amazing director and I love everything he's done. But since then there's been a 2011 prequel that was starring Mary Elizabeth Winstead, which again is titled The Thing, which is so annoying because
I've seen a remake of it for sure.
Yes, so the remake is a prequel to it, but it's not a remake, it's a prequel. But the issue is they've still called it The Thing.
It's like the same thing as what you said, like it coming out of the ice and stuff. It's the same concept.
Yes, so that's what I mean. So unfortunately, the prequel, which is so annoying because the original name of the novella, it is Who Goes There, and then the follow-up is The Thing. Who Goes There, The Thing. So instead of naming the prequel Who Goes There, which is an amazing name for a horror movie, by the way. If you had a horror movie called Who Goes There, you're like, ooh, who does go there? Ooh, intriguing. But instead, they decided to rename it The Thing, and this one didn't use practical effects like the original. It's a bit of a CGI mess, and it's not up to the actual filmmakers. That's the problem, because they did make practical sets, they did make practical stuff, but pretty much that film again bombed because I don't think it may have not bombed, but it just did okay. But a lot of the original fans hated it because it just wasn't like the original, and it had a good concept, but just some of the other points of it just were a bit But yeah, Miles just messaged as well saying that the reason that The Thing actually, it was one of them that became a sleeper hit and a cult classic because it gained popularity when it released on home video and TV. Since then, it's been, I think I've got 3 editions of the movie, a Blu-ray one, a DVD version, and a 4K version. And there's actually a documentary that's currently been made that is about the entire Thing process, like where they came up with the idea for it, the filming, basically everything behind The Thing. They're doing a documentary on it, and I've pre-ordered that as well and supported the backing because I genuinely love this movie so much. But I think if you are ever wanting to get into a horror movie that is just, I think it's just peak fiction, absolutely watch that. It's got Keith David in it. If you don't know Keith David, he's the voice of the president in Rick and Morty. He's also in, what else is he in? Keith David's in everything. He's in Community. Oh. He's basically in everything, and you'll recognize his voice. But yeah, I really love it, and I recommend to anyone who is interested in a proper good horror movie this Halloween season. Now, Tiggy, I've talked a lot about The Thing.
Yeah.
Would you like to talk about your
I've been sat here looking things up about my game that I've chosen because I played it so long ago now, but it's like a classic for me. It was like one of the first series I played when I started streaming, and I played it a lot because you know how popular horror games are for streamers. It just does really well, doesn't it? So I don't even know how many times I played this game, but it's the Outlast series, and the first one of the series I must have played like 20 times. It got to the point where I was pretty much speed running it. Because I think the unique thing about this versus all of the other horror games that I've played is the no combat. Like, a lot of people saw it as a negative. They were like, oh, but you can't like attack the enemies and stuff. And it's like, no, but it is kind of all about stealth and hiding from the enemies. It's kind of like I can't say that word. That's a naughty word. It's kind of a little bit psycho, isn't it? So there was 3, right? It was, let me see. I'm reading all of the notes right now. Was there only 3? Does it count as 4? Because we played the newest one together, didn't we?
We played the newest one. I do believe there was Outlast and then Outlast Whistleblower, which I'm still unconvinced is a standalone game or it was DLC or a prequel. Outlast 2 and Outlast Trials, which
is multiplayer.
Yes.
And we played it together. We didn't play it for that long, did we? But I think we did pretty good, actually.
No.
Like, we did. Honestly, we ran through a lot of it.
Yeah, it'd be one that you'd be thinking of revisiting just because it was a lot of fun, that one.
There was a TV series?
There was.
I don't know. It says here Outlast TV series. Are you serious? Oh my god, that might be something for me to watch.
Ooh,
because the story behind it is the most interesting part of Outlast, really, isn't it?
Yeah, agreed.
So it says
very fun.
Yeah, developed by Red Barrels and released in September 2013, which makes me feel very, very old. That's kind of sad. It doesn't feel like it was that long ago, if I'm honest with you.
10 years. No,
I
more
know.
than that. 11 years.
Yeah, it was designed.
The show's apparently bad and has 1 star.
Oh, really? Is it bad? Okay, apparently the TV series has 1-star ratings. Maybe that's why I've never heard of it before. Maybe we could watch it for a laugh. I don't know. There's something about watching bad horror movies that's really fun.
Yes. Oh, I absolutely agree.
Do you
Mystery
agree?
Science Theatre 3000. Yeah. Oh,
I don't want to
love
go too off topic, but me and my friend Rob, that was like our favorite thing to do. Like when we would have a sleepover, we would purposely find the lowest rated horror movie that we could and watch it. So I have some really good bad movies if we want to do a bit of that at the end.
I always think that is always a lot of fun. I think that's the great thing about horror movies or games in general. If it's bad, it can still be fun.
It's hilarious. It's bad equals funny, I think. Especially when they're being serious. You know? Do you get
commitment
me?
is a commitment is because if it's a bit like if you know they're trying to be a parody movie or they're trying to be awful on purpose, it loses its charm. But if they're trying to be serious, there's something very endearing about it.
It's like, wow, they were being serious right now. Okay, back to Outlast. Anyway, the best part of Outlast, I think, is the storyline. The game is set in Mount Massive Asylum, an abandoned psychiatric hospital. You basically start the game and you're like pulling up in a car to the asylum, and you basically have no backstory as to why you're there. The whole game is basically from a first person perspective, and you essentially have, I think it's a flashlight and a camera and some batteries. You have to collect batteries throughout the game. So that's like one of the big scary things about the game, because if you really do just drain your batteries, you're kind of screwed. You need to find them and make sure that they last you. I've had too many times where I've left the flashlight on for too long, and then I've been like, well, I have no idea where I am now. Although now I could probably run the game with my eyes closed. I've played it that many times, sadly to admit. It was the only thing that got me viewers back in the day, okay. But yeah, no combat. A lot of people didn't like it because of the no combat. Oh yeah, there's the night vision as well. I forgot about that. That's what you can use on the... Is that what the battery's for? It is, isn't it? The batteries are for the camera, for the night vision, not for a flashlight. Same thing. I remember.
It was the iconic thing I always remember is
it was the night
first
vision.
tubby guy
Correct.
when he was in the night vision mode, because it looked so much more terrifying in night vision.
It was horrible. Like I feel like that was one of the first like actual horror games that I stuck to, and like it didn't scare me at all because I knew it so well. I remember people who would watch my stream and they'd be like waiting for me to like jump scare, and I'd just be sat there with like a blank expression on my face. Why I thought that was entertaining, I don't know, but I can't remember much of the storylines for like the prequels, to be honest with you. Let me think.
I remember. I think Whistleblower is the reason you're actually at the facility in the first game. Yes, so I think it's the person who actually sent you the envelope for you in the first game of the person. That's why it's called Whistleblower. Yeah.
Yeah, that made you go in the first place. Honestly, if I was that guy, that main character, I'd be like, absolutely not. Absolutely not. I'm not going to a mental asylum. No, thank you. Why was it even abandoned? Like, I'm going to have to look into all of this. It's good that I don't know it all, because then people can go and play it and find out.
Yes, absolutely. I do remember the story being absolutely wonderful as you kind of got it more. I remember because it's one of those ones where it's like, is this, because I remember the game going constantly asking you, is this sci-fi or is this like horror, like paranormal? Like, because you can never tell some of the stuff you're like, or is it just people?
It was really messed up, like mental illness type content, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. That's what it was though. Like, they were all insane, the people in the asylum. What?
That is usually where they put the unfortunately the mentally unwell in an asylum.
Yes, and they harassed me the whole way through the game. I remember one particular scene which is still engraved in my brain. It's discounted on Steam. No way. Oh my god, for £2. That's insane. The first one. Wow. Why does it come up as $106 when I click on it?
Yeah. I saw that as well.
What the hell? That's insane. £2 in the, there you go, Steam sale. You want a game to play. It's pretty decent length as well. I remember I used to be able to run it in a day though.
Yeah, I think it's pretty good. I remember there is a lot of iconic villains in that as well.
Yes. Spooky. And I don't know, I don't want to give anything away, but there is like a paranormal aspect to it as well, isn't there?
Yes.
Okay.
Indeedy. And then I remember the second one was The Cult, which is
Oh, was that the one on
known.
like the outside?
The mountain
and those
top.
like scarecrows
Yeah,
and stuff?
yeah.
Oh my god, yes. I need
That's
to do,
the
you know
Cult
what? Maybe I'll stream them again. This is getting me in the mood. Maybe I'll do a blast from the past.
You don't have any time at the moment, Tiki.
Well, not yet. I don't have time yet, but maybe in 2 weeks when Halloween's over. Fuck.
when the peak period is gone, then I can go for it.
Yeah, it's fine. You can play horror games all year round. It's all good.
Oh, absolutely. I'm a big believer in that.
Mm-hmm. Also,
So out
mine
of
are
the
on
ones you've played,
PlayStation, so I don't actually have them on PC. I always played it on PlayStation.
that means you might have to get your PlayStation out.
Or I'll just have to buy them for £2 on the Steam sale. I would actually feel weird to play it on a mouse and keyboard, not gonna lie.
Yeah, I imagine that you've not I wonder if there's any mods for it as well. Maybe extend it. And I was going to say as well, which is actually your favourite out of them? Would you say out of the three?
I mean, the one I remember the most
is
the first one. It's the most memorable, I think. Yeah.
I remember 2 being a bit more divisive when it came out, but I think it's garnered a fan base in that time.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I remember people complaining about it. Right? When it first came out, I feel like it wasn't as popular.
I think it's because it was mostly made outside and stuff, and it didn't really.
It didn't feel like Outlast.
Yeah, it didn't feel like the Outlast feel, which at that point they had 2 games behind them, but they were both set in the same asylum. So yes, they probably are correct in saying it didn't feel as Outlasty. But yeah, I remember people weren't as happy with the sequel. I think it's garnered a fan base since then, though.
Yes. But yeah, Outlast.
Outlast, let's go.
Outlast.
Right,
I feel like that's enough explaining. Like, it's a good game.
Yeah.
Just try it.
I think it is a great game. It is a great game. I can attest to that as well. Next one I'm thinking of for me.
Yeah.
Then, so we've had a bit of the body horror. We've had a bit of paranormal, bit of the insane in the membrane. Now I'm going for classic slasher. So I think if you think Halloween, you think Friday the 13th, you think Nightmare on Elm Street, and you think of the classics, and then of course you think of Scream with Ghostface, which I think
all the old
is,
ones.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Scream. So Scream is my favorite, probably horror franchise. You know, so The Thing's my favorite scary movie. Horror movie, but Scream is my favorite franchise because I love the sequels as well as the original. I think the original is still by far the best. Like, it's got Matthew Lillard in it, who, if you're a horror fan, you will probably recognize Matthew Lillard. He is Shaggy in Scooby-Doo, and he's in a bunch of other stuff as well. He's just hamming it up absolutely, and him and Thingy Ulrich, I can't remember what is his first name. And then one of the Sydney, who is probably one of the best final girls ever in a horror movie. Skeet Ulrich, that's it. I absolutely love Skeet Ulrich. And it's like, and this film when it came out, so at this point slashers were dead. Like the 80s were on like Friday the 13th Part 8, like Nightmare on Elm Street Part 6, and like they'd gone into the almost parody of themselves at that point, and everyone was sick of slashers. There was My Bloody Valentine, there was all this kind of stuff, and everyone was sick of slashers. Then in 1996, the best year by the way, because yours truly was born that year, we finally got Scream, which was originally titled Scary Movie, which is what the parody version of this is called. So it was originally called Scary Movie, which is quite funny.
I just thought that was the funny version of it.
Yeah, so that's why they named it Scary Movie, the parody version, because the original version was called Scary Movie. And pretty much this introduced Ghostface, which I think is one of the most iconic like killers of all time, and it's also directed by I don't know if I mentioned Wes Craven, who made Nightmare on Elm Street and Scream, which is just like, wow, like you've hit both times of like iconic horror movies and killers, because he basically created Freddy Krueger and Ghostface, which are both just so iconic. And anyway, this film at the time was probably the first, because obviously you'll see in films now, you'll see meta, like you'll see like pans to the camera, breaking the fourth wall, this kind of stuff. But Scream was that first time this was really introduced, and it did the thing of they hired Drew Barrymore, who was like one of the most famous names at the time in the 90s, and she was like the poster girl and stuff, and she was so heavily put in the marketing, and they killed her within the first 5 minutes, and everyone was like, whoa, okay, no one's safe in this movie, they're not playing by the rules. And that's the thing as well, they knew the rules. There is literally a guy in the movie who states the rules of horror movies, saying you can't have sex, you can't do this, you can't do that, because if you do, you're going to die. And everyone's like, oh, so you know the rules of a horror movie. And it's just so good, and it's so self-aware. There is now 5 sequels to this, varying in quality, but I love each one of them wholeheartedly. And there's actually a 7th on the way next year, which I'm not as excited for because everyone keeps on leaving the project. But basically, if you want to sit down with a few friends, crack open a few beers, and just have a fun time, I can't think of anything better than Scream, with the amazing cast. Again, it's got Courtney Cox, David Arquette, what's he called? Randy Meeks. What's his actual name? I can't remember his actual name. Like I said, Skeet Ulrich, Matthew Lillard, and then Sydney, who again, Neve Campbell. It's just an all-rounder cast, hilarious, fun, and the first time you ever heard the right hand theme, if you've ever watched Peaky Blinders, you know that red right hand, like the start. Yeah. That's actually the theme of Scream as well.
Oh,
so it was
really?
actually before that, which is which is funny because you hear that in the Scream movies and you're like, oh, Peaky Blinders.
Yeah, I just think of Peaky Blinders. Skipping the intro.
Exactly. But that is Scream. So if you ever want to if you ever want to watch a Scream movie, absolutely do. And also, Ghostface will be coming out in Mortal Kombat in a couple of weeks as a DLC character, which is very exciting. And he's in Dead by Daylight as well, Ghostface, and he does the little pop around the corner thing, which is very funny, and you can shit people up very easily.
Yes.
So, I'm going to say, so we've got through 2 recommendations films. What are you giving us for your second game?
Well, since we have nothing written down for the second one, I wanted to mention, should I write down the one that I want to do later? One sec.
Yeah, you can do.
Because there's nothing here. But yeah, I wanted to... What? Why are you laughing? I wanted to mention Phasmophobia, because a lot of people don't realize that you can actually play this in VR, and it's cross-platform with PC. And maybe even other platforms as well, I'm not sure, because Phasmophobia is on console now as well, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
I believe. Is it relatively recently? I think so.
Yes, because I saw it on PlayStation Store and it was on the newly released, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. I think it's 4-player maybe. I think it's quite cool that there's like 4-player co-op horror games nowadays, because I think that's where most of my joy comes from, is like playing with friends. Paranormal horror that supports virtual reality. See, it's even in the title now. That's good. Players work together to identify the type of ghost haunting a location. I think everybody knows what Phasmophobia is at this point. Like, I can't even recommend people to play it, can I? Because they've probably already played it. But yeah, you basically go to a different house each time, and you have to figure out what is haunting that house. And when you first start playing the game, you're literally so clueless. Like, it's one of those. It's got a bit of a learning curve. And you and your friends are just going to die multiple times before you actually figure out how to play the game. I found the game was 10 times more scary in VR. And you can actually tell when someone's playing it in VR because of the way that they move. You can do some really weird movements in VR, whereas it's a lot more like static when you're on PC. So like you're kind of like a novelty when you join a random lobby and you're playing in VR. Everyone's like, oh my God, they're playing in VR. But yeah, I still, even though I've played it quite a few times, have no idea what half of the ghosts are, because they added a bunch of new ones, didn't they? And there's different ways to like exercise the house and like kind of, yeah. survive. But I don't know hardly any of them at this point.
Well, I was going to say, it's funny you mentioned about that everyone's played it. I have played it, but we did not play it for that long.
Why?
We did not play it for that long. There was something, nothing happened.
That's what I mean.
That's why.
It's rough at first. Like, you really have to kind of stick with it a bit until you figure out how it works, because at first it's a bit like, what's going on?
Yes, so that's what I mean. So we played it in VR, I think, during the pandemic. Yes, and we were really getting into it, and then nothing was happening though. And I think that's why we kind of gave up. We were just like, is anything happening?
Maybe you should have just loaded into a new game or something. Because you get given a book, don't you? And it tells you all the different types of ghosts and demons and whatever.
Yes.
And how to kill them. And at first it's like, it's really complicated. You're like, what do I do? Like, I played it with some other friends that knew what to do, and I was like, oh, I get it now.
I think that's it. I think to be fair, it was just one of us, like none of us have ever played it before, and it was all of us sharing one VR headset with it on the TV. No, as in, like, it was on the TV, so we could all watch what we were looking at.
Oh, so you weren't like actually playing it co-op?
No, we were playing it co-op, as in terms of one of us was in the room.
No, one of us was in the room doing it. Yeah. It's scary on your own.
It was scary then. I remember initially being actually very creeped out because of the music and the atmosphere, but then it kind of faded, unfortunately, because it was taking too long, and I think that's why we actually refunded it, because it was still within the 2 hours.
You screwed up. You really do have to play that game with friends. Like, the whole funny part of it is, like, you're all in different parts of the house, and you've got your little radio, and you're like talking to each other from other parts of the house, and you're like, oh, I found such a thing in this room, and then next minute you just hear a scream from another one of the rooms, and your friend's just dead. And it's like, what happened to him? And then you have to try and figure out what happened. It's so funny. And then your friends can kind of follow you around as a ghost and just kind of laugh at you while you fail to figure out what happened. It's great. Yeah.
Well, I think, to be honest with you, you got that kind of feel as well from, this is a small mention, like Lethal Company, which came out, is it earlier this year?
I played that.
Earlier last year.
I feel like I have.
The Lethal Company had the same vibe of when you pick up a microphone and it just, and you just hear it talking to someone, it just drops. So.
Yeah. But yeah, great game.
Yeah,
grab your friends if you want to horrify them at Halloween.
And then finally, we have, I'm going to talk about my last film, which is the Stephen King iconic story that is probably one of his, I think it's probably his most well-known one as well, is the 2017 adaptation of It. This is, so I was going to say, have you seen It itself?
I can actually agree with you finally on one.
Hey.
Like, because I've actually seen these ones, and I like it. Yeah,
it is. It's very good. So these were both filmed back to back as well, originally. So there is the chapter 2 as well, and they were filmed back to back. So 2017 released the original It, and then 2019 released chapter 2. And I think just like the miniseries though, chapter 2 is a bit weaker because there is something about adults when they're against this creature that feels less intimidating. I think it's because when you're a kid, like they feel more vulnerable to characters, and there's nothing more vulnerable than, I am going to spoil this because this is like the start of the movie, and it literally is the first 5 minutes, but fuck me, it sets up this movie perfectly, is Georgie in his little yellow raincoat, and he's just like, and he wants to play with his brother, and his brother's like, no, it's not happening, get away from me. Anyway, he goes outside, he's playing with his boat, and then this creature, this awful clown, is waiting for him in the drain pipe. And if you've ever had a PSA when you're a kid, when it's like, don't touch stranger danger, all this kind of stuff, all of your alarm bells are just ringing, and it's like, it's a 3-minute scene, and it's just so uncomfortable because you just know nothing good is going to happen from this. And the way that scene ends is just wow. It is phenomenal. And it instantly sets up the stakes of, because and they don't do this in horror movies that often. And there is a point, because no one really likes showing child unaliving. But I will say that once that is the stake, though, that you see that straight away, you know everyone's on the chopping block. No one is safe, and that is it. And this film starts with that, and I remember watching it with my family for the first time, and my mother and sister literally recoiled, like physically recoiled, and they were like, how does this movie start like this? And then it basically is just a fantastic coming of age story mixed in with a Lovecraftian horror. Evil clown again, and what an absolute choice of a clown, because it's so iconic to look at Pennywise, and he's so much fun as a character. And Bill Skarsgård is just he is just acting his chops off. But yeah, I was gonna say, what do you think of the film? Because you've seen this one.
I know. Are you proud of me for actually seeing it? No, I really love this one. Me and Mariana actually dressed as It and Georgie. I don't know, like 2 Halloweens ago, maybe even more now. We did. You don't remember? You even had the red balloon and everything. We did like 4 in the space of 4 days. We had like a Halloween marathon. Everyone at work was like, what is wrong with these guys, honestly? A different thing every time. And also, I love the Ice Nine Kills song, It Is the End. It's amazing. I love that type of music. Although I don't look like it right now.
But yeah, that film is... Oh, it's just perfect. Like, even I think that is one you can watch with your family. I know it's a 15, and I know it's quite graphic, but I think it is a family movie as well, because there's coming of age story. There's and it's such a good idea for a creature as well. A creature that
you don't see it as much, do you?
Scared the most.
Yeah,
and it's just it's so good. Like oh my god, yeah, just. Like, I love to... obviously, the reason I'm talking about all 3 of these films is because you should watch all 3 of them back to back if you want to, if you really do want to do some of this Halloween. But it is just phenomenal. The sequel is pretty good, but obviously I think the first one is... the thing is, as well, you can watch the chapter 1 as a self-contained story, and you never have to even watch the sequel. You generally don't. But chapter 1 is phenomenal. It's iconic. And it's probably one of the better modern horror movies. I know there's a lot of elevator horror nowadays, including Talk to Me. What else are the other ones? Talk to Me is just the one that comes to mind. But there's a lot of elevated horror, like Smile, and it's just more like interesting. And I mean, horror's just broken out in recent years, and it's become the best it's ever has been. But this is, I think, the start of that. To extent, because 2017, and yeah, I can't recommend it enough. It is phenomenal. It is phenomenal.
He do a funny.
It did do a funny. Oh, and then also, if you ever want to watch the miniseries as well, 1991, that's cute. And obviously Tim Curry, who is phenomenal actor as well, and he's just so much fun. But watch the 2017 one, Bill Skarsgård, absolutely. And that's me for movies. So I've absolutely hit my quota. Tiggy.
God damn it. I've already done 2 games. Am I doing the third? Am I doing a third?
We can talk about the third together, because
you like it too, right?
I've replayed this like 3 times. I love the second. I love what you're about to talk about.
I get confused as to which ones I've played. That's the thing. But so it's Resident Evil. I mean, it's a classic. It's a zombie classic, right? I love zombie games. I don't know what it is about zombies that just intrigue me. I don't know what it is, but there's 10 Resident Evil games. 10 core. Yes. Is that including like the remakes? Yeah.
No, that's not including spin-offs. There's even
and
more.
Stuff. So how
there's
many?
So many spin-offs.
30. There's 30. Okay. Well, I've definitely not played 30 of them, but I feel like I've played around 10 of them. I would say, but I get very confused as to which ones are which. Like, we were talking about this earlier. We were trying to figure out which one's my favorite, and I think it was Resident Evil 2 remake. I remember the police station. I don't know what it is about that one. I just remember it, like, it sticks in my head, the police station, for some reason. I had no idea as well that there was a PlayStation VR version of Resident Evil 4 remake. And now I'm like,
and also,
wait, have I played that? I think I've played it. I think I've played it. It wasn't the best. I will say that. Yeah. Like motion wise, and like I don't know, I felt like it just wasn't very well made for VR. But I bet if they made another one like now, with the state VR is in now, I bet it would be a lot better.
Well, that's what I mean, because there's quite a few Resident Evil. Actually, if you ever want a Resident Evil game, VR, they have loads. So they have the original 4 on VR.
Yeah.
They have 4 remake in VR. They have 7 in VR as well. So the one with the Baker household, because I've played.
It's 7 that I've played.
Yeah.
It's 7 that I've played.
So 7 is the one that is in the Baker household, and that's fully in VR as well. I don't know if they've done 8 in VR. No, they have. They have done 8 in VR as well. So the latest one they've put in VR as well.
I need to get on
with,
it. I need to get on
Lady
it.
Dimitrescu. Bit Lady Dimitrescu.
Oh, the big. I never played that
Lady
one, but I saw all the
Dimitrescu.
cosplays of it and everything. But I never played it, and I was like, she looks cool.
She set the internet on fire.
I know.
She
There was
destroyed
titties
the
everywhere,
internet, Lady
dude.
Dimitrescu. She is fan. We love Lady Dimitrescu.
I don't think
but
I'm tall enough to do a cosplay of her.
No, absolutely. You are not even. I don't even think you're tall enough to be a daughter's.
I'm a bit small, bit short.
I just say, do you want to have a quick? I can actually give you a quick rundown
Go
of
for
Resident
it.
Evils I think are the best. So Resident Evil 7, top for me. I love Resident Evil 7. Resident Evil 2 remake.
Yeah,
Resident
Evil
Evil 4.
I like.
It is indeed. Resident Evil 4 remake. Resident Evil 4 original. Resident Evil 5 under that because I have so many good memories. Resident Evil 3 remake. Resident Evil 1 original. Sorry, it's Resident Evil 1 remake, I should say. Then, long story short, Resident Evil 6 right at the bottom.
There's
that was
so
a dumpster fire.
many. There's too
There's
many.
so many.
I don't know how you remember
love
the
them.
names of them. I'm just like the one in the police station.
Oh, it's iconic. I used to love Resident Evil for the pure lore. And then when I started playing the games, like Resident Evil 5, I think I replayed with my friend 5 times because we loved that game. And I always played as Sheva, he always played as Chris, and it was
that the
just
co-op one?
so much fun. Yes.
Oh, I
yes, it
remember
is.
that one. That was so
Yeah,
good.
so Resident Evil 5 is the one that's in Africa, which is rumored to get remade, but then also there's a bit of the cultural stuff regarding it with would it work in this time and stuff. But I love Resident Evil, and I think if you ever want a perfect, I agree with you on this. I think of all the games you've talked about, I think if you ever want a horror series in general to get into, Resident Evil's the perfect one.
Yeah. I think it's the overall best, like of all the ones I've talked about, 100%. It's just the other ones were more like, well, Outlast was more for like nostalgia, really, and just something a little bit different. But yeah, Resident Evil, I think, is definitely overall the best. Maybe the best of the best horror games.
Yeah, I understand the other two because they are more personal for you. But I think if you want to go just for pure, just like that's it, Resident Evil.
100%. And the bosses are awesome.
They are. I am a big fan of the bosses.
They're so
Well,
cool.
that's it. I guess say, I think, do you have anything else to add on the Resident Evil series? I feel like that is, if you have ever not got into horror, I know if you're a really big horror fan, you'll probably be thinking, oh, these are normie choices.
Yeah.
These are like but there's a reason why. It's because they're classics for a reason. And I think that is, you know what, if we were playing those games tomorrow and we were watching those movies, I think that'd be a perfect day.
Yeah,
Quite frankly.
I'm down. You know, I hate doing these with you because it just makes me want to play all of the games again, and I don't have time for that right now. You're a bad influence.
I am a terrible influence. But I was going to say, if you are a horror fan, or if you're not a horror fan and you are trying out some of the choices, maybe let us know in the comments down below, what are your favourite horror movies and games to play this spooky season? And maybe we can check them out at some point as well.
Yeah.
So I'm always happy for a new selection.
All the games.
All the games, all the movies, all the big fans.
Especially co-op ones, so we can play them together.
Especially. All the ones, I like ones when you play by yourself. Again, I was Silent Hill 2 remake. Anyone who's still playing that, I'm having a great time with that. But I think that is everything we have today.
Yeah.
Mars, do you have anything to add? Is there anything that you want to say about the Halloween season? Anything you'd recommend?
I really like the film Halloween from John Carpenter. It's a classic.
Watch it. And again, another classic from John Carpenter. The man does not miss. Does not miss. But yeah, again, thank you, Tiggy, so much for joining us again today. And the introduction of Mars, thank you very much for keeping us on track. And yeah, I think play the outro.